welcome to the European Ham Radio Show, the only ham radio show which is live from the baggage belt at an airport.
Good evening.
So it's going to be exciting to see if you get your luggage or not, Bob, since I think you're flying with Ryanair, aren't you?
Yeah, let's call it flying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyhow, we got to guess.
You landed in one piece. What more can you ask for?
And practically on time. So you're ahead of schedule with Ryanair already. So
the nice thing about Ryanair is they always lie about when they intend to land. They always claim they're going to land about 20 minutes after they actually will land. So they have 20 minutes of extra time where they can claim they're still landed on time.
Yeah. But that's actually, I got to mention this because I book flight tickets for a living, and it's always fun to see two airlines flying between different destinations or the same destinations, and they have different time from point A to point B.
Yep.
And they're flying the exact same aircraft, the exact same distance, the exact same airports, but one is usually faster than the other.
You should all try Deutsche Bahn next, and then stop moaning about Ryanair.
Last time I checked, that wasn't an airline. Was it?
No,
but they're not very good with their timetables and schedules.
Anyhow, as I was going to say, we got to guess two spots over here. Marion, welcome to the European Ham Radio Show.
Thank you.
How is it to be on this side of the show, being on the show instead of watching it?
It's a little different. I have to admit, I'm going to have to pay extra close attention. But I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to chatting, and I may have a few questions for you guys along the way too.
Ah, nice. And you actually wrote a little bit of an introduction about yourself, but I'm, as usual, not very well prepared. So instead of me looking for that email, how about you introduce yourself instead?
Well, my introduction is that I've been active in ham radio for about 16 months. And so I just love it. That's my story, about getting started. And I share a shack with W1GRL, my station engineer, who may show up in the chat at some point.
Nice. And I love that you have Whiskey One Girl and Whiskey One Boy as your call sign. So it's really cute.
I can tell that story if you want. Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Go on then.
Oh. Now?
Yeah.
Sure. Okay.
You're already on a tangent. It's fine.
I know. I am the queen of tangents. Had I not started with the label Main Girl, I would have put Queen of Tangents down there. So I was about 8 or 9 months. No, not quite. About 6 months into really being active. And my call sign at the time was November 3, Oscar Alpha. And I found that Oscar Alpha was hard to say. And with the static of the radio and everything, people would be like, Alpha, what was that? And if I said N3OA, I had to be careful with my mix of accents and things. And so I decided I wanted something different. And I wanted a W1 because that's traditional here in New England in the States. And I wanted something with hard consonants. I didn't want vowels anymore. And I wanted something that was good with CW because I had been studying CW. So there were certain letters I wanted to avoid. And so I started looking at the mix and so I started looking at options, their websites where you can see what's available. And I came across GRL and I thought, that's it. Whiskey One Girl. That's it. I'm done. And so I put in for it. And two things. One, I put in for it. And my husband, I put in for it, blah, 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 a few hours. All of a sudden it's like, eureka. And he was like, I'm going to check. Just a minute. And then he said, W1BOY, it's available. And I tried to talk him out of it because I'm the whimsical one. He's the engineer. He truly is the station engineer. He's the guy with the soldering iron. He's the guy who doesn't really want to talk all that much, And I said, I'm afraid you're going to regret this. And he's like, no. And he hasn't regretted it at all. He's like, he wanted to return back to that boyhood sense of ham radio, that wonder about it. And so yeah, so we ended up W1BOY, W1GRL. An interesting twist when I applied for it before it was mine. It was like a 6-week wait in there. I went to QRZ to see who had W1GRL, and I found this woman's name, and I just put her in Google because I thought, oh, I wonder what her life was like or whatever. And I found that she was killed in a head-on car collision. And at first, when I saw that, I thought, oh, I could have done without knowing that. But then the more I thought about it, her name was Audrey. And I feel like I sort of give a tribute to Audrey, and when I'm doing something really well, a contest or something's going really good, I'll think, Audrey, we're doing it. Audrey, we're getting it out there. Audrey, we're doing it. So I never met her. I don't know anything about her, but I accept what was in this Boston Globe story that I found. But just a little shout out to Audrey. And the girl has been amazing. Sam, the queen of tangents. The girl has been amazing. I get on contests and all the time I will hear, "You go, girl," or I was doing a contest that was a serial number. And this, I was waiting, the pile up, waiting for my turn. And the guy who was running the pile up was just like chop, 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 chop. You could tell he was one of those seasoned contesters. He had his cadence, and I was going right with him, And so I said, Whiskey 1 Golf Romeo Lima. And he gave me his stuff. And I said, 5'9", you're number 2. And he said, thanks for number 2. Wait. Girl, I'm number 2. Wait, I'm number 2. I got to try hard. After because I broke it. Well, I didn't mean to break up his cadence, but it was just funny, funny that I did. Another funny story there. I like the North American QSO party, and the exchange there is your name and your state. And so I use Mary in contests because people can't spell Marianne. They think it's Marianne. So I just go Mary. So when you put my exchange in your N1MM, it's W1GRL, marry me, because Maine is Mike Echo. W1GRL, marry me. And, so I'm cruising along and people would just be like, oh, girl, I'm already married. Or, oh, girl, I hope you find somebody, oh, hey, girl, I have a friend. And it took me a while to connect what they were doing, because it was like, why are you saying this? But the girl has been a whole lot of fun.
Awesome. I mean, that is more story than we actually expected, I think. But man, there's actually some thought and a story behind the call sign. That's awesome. So, I guess, how about the ham radio moment of the week then, Tobias?
I'll start ham radio moment of the week. Went out for a POTA with the QMX. I did not do 100 QSOs in 10 minutes like other people, but I did 11 QSOs in 2 hours, and it was all SSB, and it was with 4.5 watts and a QMX. So that was quite successful, I think. That was yesterday, and I think on Friday I recorded a video which is not out yet about how to get the NML of your NML wires when you're creating low-pass filters or end-fed half-wave transformers. And I think it still needs a bit of polishing, but that also will be out in, I don't know, maybe during the course of the next week. Let's see.
And what's your go-to trick on removing the enamel, Tobias?
The answer is it depends. It really highly depends on the enamel, because there are some that burn off easily with your soldering iron, and there are some that don't burn off at all. And also it depends on the thickness of the wire and what kind of soldering iron you have. So I'm basically tried different ways, and all my thinner wires were working quite easily with the soldering iron, and the thicker ones did not budge at all. So I was using a blunt kitchen knife, and the important bit is that it's a blunt one, because when you go with a carpet cutting knife, you're nicking the wire and you scrape off your copper as well. Yeah, so blunt kitchen knife worked best for me.
I was able to see that video before it was released. And I think my big takeaway, excellent video, by the way. Everyone doing something with magnet wire should watch that one. But my big takeaway is that try to send the end of that wire before you wound it onto something and before you try to mount it on something.
Sacrifice 2 centimeters, give it a try, what works best, and then you save yourself a lot of headache in your kit building.
That is a good piece of advice. I have 2 go-to tools for this. The first one is to steal a nail file from either my daughter or my wife. The second one is a Dremel. And I'm not really sure which works best, but the Dremel is takes a lot more effort to get started with.
Okay, I have not tried the Dremel, but that's an interesting approach as well. What do you use? Just some sanding disc or
some
cone?
sanding cone.
Okay.
That lets me get around it and just remove the enamel. And for those who cannot see, I'm actually doing the movements with my hands right now. So,
but I was thinking maybe some of you guys have tried, but I was thinking maybe acetone nail polish remover. Maybe that could remove some enamel. Anyone tried that?
I don't think it will dissolve. No.
I was thinking that could pretty much remove anything, but.
That's been my experience as well.
Yep. And speaking about experiences, Bob, your ham radio moment of the week.
I'm down here now. I'm second. Nice.
Yep.
Well, I've been to Italy with my son. I was in the whole of the ham radio there, and that was sort of the point, to go on vacation, not just tagging along with his father up summits. Guessing my ham radio moments is I finished the reference dipole for LoRa APRS, and actually managed even to edit a video from it. The thing is, if you want to characterize antennas, if you want to characterize gain or directivity on an antenna, then you need some sort of reference to do that in reference to, so to speak. And one very normal way of doing that is in reference to a standard dipole, and that's what we call DBD. So I created a standard dipole for 433 or 4T4 megahertz. And the idea is that when I now start building all the other cool antennas that I hope to get to, I can compare them to the dipole and see if they're actually good antennas or just fancy antennas, because quite often it's not so easy to measure the difference without really expensive equipment. So hopefully that's going to enable me to figure out whether it's actually worthwhile building something, or if it just gets you maybe an additional 0.2 dBs, in which case it's a complete waste. But I'm realizing now I have no idea where my car is. Let me just show you what it looks like there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good thing you have a generic white van.
Yeah.
And I'd say good thing. I can see it now. Excellent.
How many white caddies are on that parking lot, Bob?
2,500. Luckily, just one has 2 mag mount antennas on the roof. So, yeah, I found it. Excellent.
It's probably the same as having a gray Nissan Leaf. There's also about 1 million of those around. So,
yeah, that's true.
Still, I'm impressed though. 37 minutes of building a dipole for YouTube.
And that was cut down.
Yeah.
So, but I basically wanted to show all the steps involved in it, so that if someone else wanted to build one, then they could replicate.
And you do that really well, Bob. Once you know that your videos are worth watching 37 minutes of, people will click them.
Let's see. It's been doing medium well, that video. For me, it's the idea of that video is just to have something to reference anytime I build another antenna, and I say, this is how we're testing it, then I can reference that video and show what we're using for testing it and how someone can replicate that testing with their antenna.
That's really, really, really good. And I guess, well, you did LoRa APRS on the plane to Italy. How did that work?
I'll get back to you. I will. We'll talk about that another time on another stream.
Jürgen, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
Yeah, I was also playing with LoRa. This is the 70 centimeter LilyGo, where Meshcom is installed on. And I tried to figure out how to connect to the WinLink gateway via Meshcom. So basically, it's using the APRS protocol. So sending a message to WLNK-1 and then trying to log in, but I failed every time. I got the login, but I was not able to log in. But I remember it worked about a month ago, so I'm not sure what's going on. And then I changed over to my VGC VRN76 transceiver and thought, okay, I was asked about a guy how to do what's the app called?
APRS Droid.
APRS Droid, thank you, Morten. How to do APRS Droid with the VGC. So I made a video about it and I tested then the WinLink gateway and it was working fluid. So I'm not sure what's going on with this device. But anyway, yesterday afternoon I made a number of QSOs into the United States, and all hopefully I will meet them all in Xenia next month. So they all promised me to be there. So have to do a lot of handshakes.
I am so envious that you're going to convention.
Marion, are you going to Xenia?
No, not this year. I've been before, and it's amazing. You will just be blown away by the number of buildings and the number of people. And there's thankfully they record a lot of the sessions now because there's just too many at the same time to try to pick where you want to go. It's stunning. Yeah, you'll love it.
Yeah, can't wait for it to be there.
And Walt is also having a session there. So and Walt's been a part of this show. So he was actually
pick up a few signed books for us, Jürgen.
yeah, of course I will.
And Walt, I'm still waiting for my signed book, just so you know. I've actually been talking to Walt about this, so it's no confusion about it. So but I'm looking forward to seeing how his antenna book is. Anything else this week?
No. Not from my side. No, I was very busy.
Yep. Marion, I know you actually have prepared something for the ham radio moment of the week.
I want to make a good first impression. Now, let me see if I can remember how to pull this up. We'll see what kind of impression I get. While I'm bringing this up, I met Salty Walt at a ham convention down in Massachusetts. It was wonderful. So this is my ham radio moment of the week. This is a DX Commander Signature 12. And my husband, obviously, my station engineer, did pretty much all the work. But I did assist. I did follow around. I did ask a lot of questions and, did a lot of holding wires and winding wires. And I was in charge of wing nuts. They are impressive wing nuts, things like that. But yeah, so we have it up. It's all in one piece. We've done some SWR sweeps on it. You're going to quickly hit my level of understanding here. But we did some SWR sweeps on it, and it's better already than our previous 43-foot vertical. So we're really happy with this. We're trying to find a way for both of us to be active at the same time, and it's a little tricky. We have a sizable yard, but not that big of a yard. So we're hoping the DX Commander and an off-center off-center fed dipole. I had to think about that. Will do the trick for us. But it was as time allowed, 3 or 4 days maybe putting that together. We had to take a tree out, but it was fun. It was really fun. So we're proud of that. We actually got it up.
Nice. And the DX Commander is such a great antenna, and it's actually a really cheap antenna for what it is. If you're going to source all the parts independently, you'll end up at a lot more. I'm not going to tell that story again, but yeah, the DX Commander is a great antenna.
All right.
But you had more pictures, didn't you, Marion?
I did. You want me to show them now?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, we are totally veering off the plan, which is just fine. It's what I love about you guys. You're so unpredictable. But I am the queen of tangents. So, when it's my turn to talk, I will talk.
Yeah, go ahead. That's the point of being on the show, though.
So this is my shack. So my husband's to the left, I'm to the right, and you can see we have Maestros there. We have a Flex 6400 and a Flex 8600. And those are about 12 feet or so below in the basement. So we remote to our basement. And looks like we were doing FT8, both of us, on the day that I took that picture. So it's just the two of us. We have a small house. So our shack is basically in a corner of our living room. And so that's, and when you open the windows, it's a nice forested kind of scene out back. So there's that. And then let me see if this will change. Did it change? Or you have to change it?
It did not change.
Okay. Let me stop sharing and let me go back to the other photo. So the other photo was a recent. It's legal there, Chris, in case you were wondering. I'll talk about that in a minute, about our ham radio romance. But so let me see. So this was operating. I'm not sure exactly which contest, but you can see my cheat sheets up there. Because I've only been doing this, like I said, right now it's been about 16 months. I worry that I'm going to freeze. Okay, what's my call sign? What am I supposed to say? What's my exchange? You can see we use N1MM there. But that's kind of how it looks when I'm doing my thing. I have a push to talk for the mic. I need to switch to a foot switch. I think that's going to work out better. But yeah, you can see my station engineer did a little Raspberry Pi thing that's on the screen in the very back. And that's where we control, and I'm going to run out of my knowledge here. That's where we control our KPA 500 amplifier. And we also, that was when we were using the vertical. And so we had a tuner as well. And so we could put it, either the tuner or the vertical or both, on bypass or whatever. We could, monitor the SWR, kind of see what was happening. So he also extended that to have a box at the bottom now where we can put which band we're on. So if we're both operating at the same time, we got our headsets on, we're doing stuff. If we want to switch, or we can just look up at the little chart and see, oh, he's on 40. So I'm gonna go to 30, or he's on 40, I'm going to 15, something like that.
Nice.
Do you have bandpass filters for that as well?
We have some. We have not installed them yet. I understand the seriousness of using bandpass filters, and that you got to really be careful with those so you don't cause trouble. But yes, we have some, and I think that's going to be in our future here once we get our 2 antennas. So we're going to have one. The commander is the vertical, and then we're going to have the horizontal. So we're hoping that all of that works out.
Nice. And I can say that bandpass filters is a good thing when you have more operators within a small distance. We've been using those for field day, where we operate 5 bands at the same time from the same table with antennas within a couple of meters of each other. And without bandpass filters, that would be impossible.
Yeah. It's one of the things I've had to sort of get over as a new operator, knowing how expensive some of this equipment is. Yeah. I'm not really adventurous with troubleshooting. And, so what ends up happening is, station engineer, I have a question, Stan, I have a question, Stan, I have a question. Cause I, bandpass filters, some of these other things, the tuner getting too overwhelmed or whatever, I end up asking a lot of questions. I'm learning to troubleshoot, but I'm slow getting the confidence.
Yep, it's all a matter of experience, though. But it's really nice to see two flexes set up like that. I love my Flex. I got to say, it's probably my favorite radio of all time. Just because it's so easy to remote and do everything with. I don't know if you do any remoting except from the living room to the basement, though.
I don't think so. Stan can comment on that if he wants. Maybe just to show off the Node Red and how it works to somebody, that we can turn things off and on, but I don't know that we've actually operated remotely beyond the living room.
Yep. So, and using Node Red to control everything around the station is a really good thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kjetil, what's your ham radio moment of the week?
I've done a lot of filming again, which is lovely. It's been a long time since I've just had the time and so on to play around and do videos. So did one video on the JPC-12 antenna, one just general parks on the air activation. So that was nice.
Nice. And I can see that there's something new below your name there.
Yes. So we've had a change in Parks on the Air in Norway. Basically, the guy that's been running the program for whenever it started,
5 years,
now,
I think.
5-6 years, decided to step back. So we're two people that stepped up and took the job so far, at least. So I'm not sure. Maybe more people want in. I think it was Lima Bravo Zero Fox India wanted to do that.
It all depends on next week's board elections for the league.
Yeah, but we are Lima Bravo 3 Quebec Juliet also wants to get in there. So that we have somebody to split the job on and so on. And basically, there's a few things to it. One is, of course, you need to add new parks. Or you don't have to, but there's room for more parks, at least in some parts of the country. And there's some cleaning up to be done. For example, somebody decided to change municipalities in Norway for the second time in a decade. So we have to do some changes to the regions things are in. And of course, some of them need to be updated, some need to be removed, some need to be added.
So what's the scope of the task? How many POTA parks are there in Norway? There must be thousands.
There's only around 2,500 defined now. And I would guess we will have more than the United States if we were to add every nature reserve in Norway. So I don't see the point in that. I think we have over 10,000 nature reserves in Norway. So I don't see the point in doing that, but that's a discussion thing as well. Also, that kind of breaks the map. But adding quite a few more would be very nice.
Absolutely. So now I know where I can send my suggestions, and I know that you will approve them right away, right?
Probably not. I probably won't cover your part of the country. But if you tell me which ones you're going to, I will delete them before you get there. And I'm also, I'm also doing this for bunkers on the air. So I gone through and added 40 or 50 new parks for bunkers, references for bunkers on the air this week as well. And so that's going to be fun.
Yeah, and I really want to do bunkers on the air again, because that was the most insane pileup I've ever had. So I need to get out and do that again as well.
Yeah.
And Steve says you will not see the map for the yellow dots. And I guess for our favorite Canadian POTA hunter, that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think would like that, but like there are some that are badly placed and so on. Like you cannot actually reach them, and some of them there's actually a ban to go ashore, for example, on some of the islands in the bird sanctuaries. So, so that is for Norway, Svalbard, and Jan Mayen and Bjørnøya. That's I'm responsible for.
Yeah, and Steve's the mapping representative for Nova Scotia here. So, and I actually knew that because that pops up every time I log him in a park.
Yep, that is nice.
I just got to ask, not Bovey? You're not the representatives for Bovey Island?
If you remember the guys we had on a few weeks back, they said they're not allowed to go into the nature reserve.
Ah,
yeah.
So then it's not going to be a park reference then?
It's not going to be a park reference because there is no legal access in there.
But the entire island is a reference, isn't it?
Well, it's not on the map, at least.
Okay.
Yep.
So when they start logging this to POTA, you're going to be the guy that says this is not a POTA.
3 Yankee is no longer registered.
Oh, it's not?
Nope.
Oh.
It could be that it's under Norway, but I'll have a look just for the fun of it. But from my knowledge, it is not there. But that may be wrong. But I also see no way you can get legally into that area. Wait, it's actually there still. BV, it's under now.
Yep.
So that's good.
That is good. Is it my turn now?
However, if you try hard to add new parks, you never will beat Mike in Slovenia, I guess. I tried it. I failed.
Yeah. The sad thing is that he has so many overlapping areas. I will not get that here.
Yeah.
I think we at least got to get a 7 for here, or an 8 for 9 for.
No,
I could feel your envy when you read about that 7 for.
When Steve had a 7 for in the UK, I mean seriously.
I also had a QSO with that guy.
And
we have a 10 for here.
Yeah, imagine 2 people said 10 for exchanging park numbers with multiple operators.
That's a cheating.
One of my friends activated this 10 for recently, and then I got a mail from the mapping representative of Italy asking me how is that possible? How can he do a 10 for? Because the Middenhead locators of all these parks are somewhere else spread around the country. And I told him, these are trails. And if you're clever enough and you choose the right position, then you can make a 10 for out of it. Yeah.
I'm sharing something now, Martin.
You're sharing something. Yeah.
I'm going to go on a tangent.
Yeah.
So this is Beauvais. It's there. Really easy to find on the map. And if you can see here, the green line is the line for the map nature reserve.
Okay.
So the entire island is not, from what I can see at least on the map here, in there. There are some regions that's not protected, but still there you need permission to go ashore.
So did you just make all the POTA hunters that got the expedition to Beauvais in their POTA logs angry now?
No, I don't know. I don't know if they were operating legally within or not. It could also be that the map is wrong.
Yeah,
that has happened before. Like a lot of these maps are wrong.
Yep. Anyhow, I guess I'm going to do my moment of the week then. Let's see here. I'm going to share my screen. I actually haven't done as much radio as I hoped for. I even filmed a video today, which is not going to be anything. I was going to show how good the LoRa APRS coverage is in my area now, but since my tracker is not working properly, I drove around for 3 hours and didn't get a single spot logged on the map. So I got a lot of footage, but no video to show for it. Anyhow, let's see if I can share my screen here. I did something I've been actually, for some reason... Let's see. I need to. Okay. I've been putting this off for a while, and I don't really know why. Because in my town, speaking about POTA, Let's call this the center park. From here to this park, it's about 1 kilometer. From here to this park, it's about 1 kilometer. There are 4 parks which are within a 2-kilometer radius. Besides that, there's a trail going through here and actually passing through a couple of these parks. So it's actually possible to do a 5-park rove within a 2-kilometer radius. And I went out to do that on Friday. It wasn't the worst day considering bad conditions this week, but it certainly wasn't the best day either. But it went pretty easy. I activated all 5 parks within 2 hours and 6 minutes. Let's see, Chris asked if any of these are SOTAs. No, we're not in the part of Norway where there are mountains. But 2 of them, or 3 of them, first Fredriksten, which is my home park, as I like to call it, did that from the car. And I did 2 parks here, a trail and this park from a car, because it turns out that you can be within the nature preserve by being parked at a specific corner at a parking lot, if you check the maps properly. Then I did this park about 2 meters from the car. And this park, actually, I had to hike up to a little bit of a rock and did that. But it took me 2 hours and 6 minutes. And I can't, for the best of it, figure out why I haven't done that before. And if anyone wants to see more about that, I'm going to share another tab here. Because I'm not sure if I've told you this, but I actually got a blog for things where I don't bother to film things. And doing this Pfeiffer, this rove, I didn't bother filming because it was just too much work rigging up the camera for every park. Really nice, but you can see from the map here, it wasn't really DX conditions until we got to the last park. Let's find that, where I actually got 1 station in Kentucky and Steve in Nova Scotia. So that was probably my ham radio moment of the week. I was going to say, actually, I'd planned to say that figuring out how well LoRa APRS now works was going to be my ham radio moment of the week, but it turned out that it didn't work for me, and I can't find out why it's not working, so I need to dig deeper into that. And I guess that's about it. I don't think I have much else. I've been playing around with a lot of stuff, but nothing that has really materialized into anything worth telling about, except 2 VKs in the morning on Thursday, I think, and 2 China on the afternoon of Thursday on 20 meters.
Right.
Okay, maybe just a small comment. Guys, I'm really a bit envious about your park density. If you embigger me for a second,
Just going to find the right button here.
So this is the POTA map of Bavaria, right? And you see the Bayerische Wald here, which is a big area. And that's the Munich area where I'm stuck. And you can see it's sparsely populated with parks, and it's not something you can do within 1 kilometer. Yeah, so you definitely either need a car or plan way ahead to which one of the parks you're going. Yeah, so yeah, you have it much easier. If anybody is wondering why I'm not out doing POTA every other week.
It took actually quite a few emails to the mapping representative to get all of those parks on the map.
Yeah. You should try SOTA instead, Tobias.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay,
you should, but you need to move about 200 kilometers east, I think. Then you can do summits on the air like Morten is doing parks on the air. And Black Forest, a fantastic place for summits on the air.
Yeah, but Marianne, we talk a lot about parks on the air and summits here. Do you do any of these programs yourself, like as a hunter or activator?
As a hunter in particular, I really enjoy POTA as a hunter. Lots of U.S. folks have vacationed in Maine, so there's always a little conversation there. I live almost literally next door to Acadia National Park, which happens to be US 0001, which is always fun when you tell somebody and they're like, really, you're number 1? And like, yep, we're number 1.
Nice.
Yeah.
And
The girl is number one.
yes.
Yeah.
So we have a main-wide POTA day, and so our club, and so we go out and do POTA there. So I've done several with the boy, and several with some of my friends from my club, and hoping to do more. We've been, since I've been active such a short amount of time, I've kept my engineer really busy trying to figure out how we can both operate at home. And we've got our cars set up now. We've got antennas, we've got the radios, we've got the equipment, and we're starting to prepare for the ARRL Field Day. And that's an outdoor exercise where clubs can make it as small or as big as they want. But my particular club has a Morse code station, a sideband station, an FT8 station, and then we do some satellites and some VHF. And Stan's going to be working the CW, and I'm going to be working the sideband. So POTA is going to be our way to start learning to handle pileups and deal with the unknown. So yes, we do, but yes, we'd like to do a lot more. It's very, very popular here. Maine is such a beautiful state. I'm sure we have lots of parks. I don't really know the number, but it's such a beautiful state, and such a, we call it vacation land, and so lots of nice places to work. So yeah, we want to make that an emphasis this year, activating.
How far are you away from Portland?
From Portland, I'm about a 3-hour drive north.
Okay.
So we're Maine is a big state, but we're pretty far north. I've been comparing my weather with your weather, and with Norway weather, I should say, and we're fairly similar. Some of the days we're a little bit cooler. It's rare that we're getting into the 50s right now, or 50 Fahrenheit. I'm not sure about Celsius.
50 Fahrenheit is 10 Celsius.
Okay.
Yeah, and you're not that much far south from us. Like you were at 44 degrees north or something, and the Norway starts at 55 or something.
Okay.
So it's not that far south, at least from the bottom.
Yeah. Yeah. So yes, POTA is very, very popular here. Very popular in my club.
Yep.
I think POTA is a program that is changing ham radio from the people sitting in their shacks to actually getting people outside and doing portable radio on a large scale. I don't think any of the other portable programs have done that in such a large scale, actually.
No,
and in terms of big impact,
in terms of sideband and where I tend to hear other female voices, I don't hear that many female voices in contests, but I hear a fair number of female voices in POTA, families, couples. I think in terms of sideband, POTA has brought a lot of hams back into being active.
And it facilitates for those people who, for whatever reason, can't put up an antenna at home. It makes it so much easier to have some kind of purpose and actually get QSOs, because before I did POTA, it was just as hard getting a QSO out of the shack as it was inside the shack. But with POTA, you have people hunting you, and it turns out to be this kind of game.
Yeah, I think some people might, I don't know, might not think gaming is the best approach, but I like statistics. I like knowing how I'm doing. I keep a ham radio journal, and my goal is to get better at the things I can control, which is roughly how many QSOs I've made and how much time I spend at it. So there's propagation, there's other things, but I try to do a little bit better each time I do a contest. And POTA makes it so much easier to say, okay, I've had this many contacts this month, I want to get my number up, so let's hit POTA, especially on the weekend, and you can usually get that.
Yeah, and you mentioned like gaming there. Gamification is such a nice way of bringing the the activity up there. And making people interested, like getting that little badge. You see that both in parks on the air, but also summits on the air. There's some really nice badges there that some people really enjoy getting.
Yeah, and it just does something to you, though, getting that acknowledgement for what you do in a stupid way as a PDF, but it works. And you, as a psychologist, Marion, probably knows a lot more about that than we do.
Yeah,
I think for myself, I don't really care about some number being 100 or 200 or a funny badge. But the thing is, if you call CQ on a POTA, you get answers, right? And if you call CQs not on a POTA, you don't get answers. Yeah. So this is what works for me, right? And if somebody gets a nice badge that he makes a contact with me, that's great as well. Yeah, I don't care.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the great things I've learned about ham radio, being fairly new to being active, is that you can express yourself in lots of different ways. If you're somebody who's not chatty, there are avenues for you to make contacts. If you'd rather work on a computer, there are avenues to do that. If you like the numbers, great. If you don't like the numbers, great. There's such a variety. I found myself this time last year when I was just getting going, almost getting drunk on all of the first time things. Like, how many first time things can I do? And people would say, "Oh, you're just collecting wallpaper." And I'm like, "Yes, I'm collecting wallpaper and I'm enjoying it." And I actually entered a contest in Indonesia. And I'm always looking at the contest calendar. And I found this contest and it had this really cool certificate design. And I just thought, oh man, I want one of those. And so I entered the contest and my score was pitiful because I didn't actually contact anyone in Indonesia, but I did make contacts and I did get my little thanks for showing up certificate. And I'm all about that. I will take the thanks for coming, you're all winners certificate. I will take that.
Yeah, I have a few of the best in class certificates. I think one of them was from the ARL DX contest or something. That was best in class and only participant.
Wow.
Like a best in class per country or something. So it's just the same as a dog show. Like if you're the only with that model of dog that shows up, then you win best in race, no matter what.
Yep.
Yeah.
But actually, I listened to the QST bulletin today, the Norwegian QST bulletin, and it's so funny to hear those 70 centimeters and up contests, because there are usually 2 or 3 people in those contests that have sent in their logs, and everyone's a winner. But I guess if you spent that money setting up the perfect microwave setup, you still want your little diploma on the wall.
Yep.
Yeah, we have what we call state QSO parties, and I guess that size wise it would be maybe similar to your municipalities. We also have counties within states, and so all 50 states have a QSO party. They spread them around the year, and you get points for contacting people in that state, and then how many different counties in that state can you do? And some people will do a POTA and a state QSO party at the same time. Yep. So your logging software has to really be nimble there in terms of getting around. But some of the states will actually give out, you're like you were saying, best in class. I won, I think, first place for women in Maine who participated in the New Jersey QSO party. And I was like, okay, I'll take it. I was probably the only one there, but I'll take it.
I'm not a big contester myself, but I see the magic of contesting, getting those awards and actually working the numbers. It's just, I do not have a good enough station to do contesting at home.
Yeah, we Stan and I watch the contest crew that W1GRL puts out videos, and they're top contesters, and it's just amazing. The 2 radios and something in each year and keeping all of this going. It's amazing to see what they do.
Yep.
But I sometimes I call myself a contester, depends on the company, and sometimes not, because I like the slower pace. I like POTA. I like these more comfortable QSO parties. I was going to ask you guys one of the questions, and it looks like I'm only going to get one question in. I like to go for endurance. Oh, we're chatty. I'm the queen of tangents.
Yeah.
Excuse me. You're choking me up. We like to go for endurance. And so like when I sit down to do FT8, I want to do it for 3 or 4 hours. And when I sit down to do a POTA, I'll sit down on Saturday and I'll say, okay, how many state QSO parties? Let me catch all the POTAs, anything else going on. So I was going to ask you guys, for my birthday, the last 2 years, Stan has waited on me hand and foot, and I've spent as many hours as I could stand on the radio. Now it's amazing because I'm sitting there and I'll say, I think I'd like apple juice, and apple juice appears. And I think I would like some nuts, and nuts appear. And I just stay on my radio the whole day. And the longest I've ever made it is somewhere between 12 and 13 hours, somewhere in there. 12 hours and change is about as long as I can take it with only like 10, 15-minute breaks. So do you guys ever go for endurance? And if you do, what's the longest that you've operated with just minimal short breaks?
I'll go first. I think I'm usually not the endurance kind of guy. I got a really short attention span, so something else takes my attention away. But on field day, that's the only contest where I really take everything seriously. And I think I went about 16 hours straight on the last field day. Then I had 3 hours of sleep and went back at it. And pretty much every operator that we had did that, but we had more operators than stations. So we were able to get those 10, 15 minutes breaks and just rotate it around the table a little bit. But that's probably the most endurance I've done. That was also having a ham, which only did the cooking and made sure that we had drinks and everything. And then we had the operator. So, and enough beer, just the right amount of beer, not too much, but not too little either. So we just kept it going.
Yeah, my longest endurance was, I guess, during a field day contest. In September, we have this Region 1 field day contest where I did the night shift for 6-7 hours or so. And a month ago, I made my longest POTA live stream over 5 hours.
Wow.
Yeah. But I was accompanied by 2 other guys.
Yeah, for me, where I used to do contests, they used to be very good at breaking it up into shifts. So we're rarely longer than 4 hours, but some of the night shifts could be 6 or 7 or 8 hours. And that's probably the longest I've been consistently or continuously on the radio. For my summits on the air activations or parks on the air is generally longer. Summits on the air, it's maybe 15 minutes is a long activation for me. But then maybe I spend an hour driving, an hour and a half hiking up there and then back again. So radio is a very little part of it. Parks on the air, maybe I'll stretch it to 45 minutes or to an hour. That depends completely on the conditions and how many people I get in the log, and do I do it with SSB or digital modes or anything else like that? So yeah.
I was going to say, I think when I just got my license, I started doing FT8, and I think for the first few weeks, I did several 12-hour stretches of FT8 easily because it's new and exciting and things. But since then, I don't think I've done such long stretches. But it's as Kjetil says, when you do summits on the air, I go for expeditions to go on summits, and I can get up at 8 in the morning and leave the hotel, and I can be back at the hotel at 9 in the evening. Of course, I don't do radio all that time, but I'm either on my way to a summit or on my way down from a summit or something like that. So easily 12-hour days doing radio-related things, but it's a lot of walking doing summits on the air. I think it's healthier probably for me. Middle-aged, overweight, it's probably better doing the walking than just sitting in front of a computer doing FTA.
It's good for you. Yes.
And Tobias?
I'm not the one for, long evenings in front of the radio. I don't have a very powerful station, so contest is not really something that works. The only thing that I could do is probably RTTY. That could work even when you run QRP. And then there's the problem of everything else that needs doing around the house. Unfortunately, I don't have a girl or whatever, woman or somebody to share the load and do things. So I'm happy when I can carve out 2 or 3 hours for a POTA, and that's already pretty good for me. So there's no long activations. I mean, I think last time I spent hours spare time in front of the computer was when I was a teenager and playing on the Commodore C64, like The Last Ninja or something like that. Right?
I could add that, for example, for like today, I spent 7 hours driving home from the cabin, or 8 hours. And within that, then I put in 7 activations. So I drove for a while, activated a new place, and so on. So it's a long day on the radio, but then radio is something I use to get breaks in other things. And of course, I have to stop and eat somewhere and so on. But so if that would be it, today it was only in the car, but other days it would be stopping and going up for a soda on the way or a park or whatever. So that's also kind of an endurance thing, but it's not the same as staying for the same time, like on the air all the time.
Right.
But yeah, go ahead, Myron. Sorry.
And it's different, I think, if you're doing sideband, if you're talking for hours and hours and hours, if you're concentrating on CW for hours and hours and hours. Most of my long endurance has been with FT8. And that's a story I'll say for another time. But I met FT8 on Valentine's Day, and we had quite a whirlwind situation. We broke up for a while. FT8 is a friend that needs boundaries. FT8 is addicting. And, so doing FT8 for 12 hours is a lot different than doing sideband or CW for 12 hours.
Absolutely. Yeah. But I just want to comment on what Bob said. When he was a new ham, he could go a lot longer. And yeah, because when you're new, everything's exciting, and you have those moments of hyper focus that you don't get once it's not new and exciting anymore. At least that's my experience. And then you learn about new things, and suddenly you have about 24 projects on a way too small desk, and none of the projects gets the time it really deserves. And then on top of that, you really got to make a video on something, and it really stops the...
Yeah, I was just wondering, I spent probably more time editing videos than on the radio doing QSOs.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, the psychologist in me will say, follow your behaviors, right? This is a hobby. Right. And so follow your behaviors, follow what you like to do, don't apologize for it. Especially the older you get, enjoy it. So yeah, follow your behaviors, what you really like to do. I enjoy endurance things. And I think having studied cognitive science for a long time, endurance, keeping that attention span, I mean, all that's I like these guys that do like 36 hours straight, in a contest. That's just amazing concentration and attention and focus. And there's all those skills. It's like learning CW. I had somebody tell me once, it's only 26 letters and 1 through 0, like how hard can that be? It's like, no. there's a lot of cognitive skills that are one on top of the other to get to be fluent in CW, and that's not going to happen quickly. Even if you're a kid, it's not going to happen quickly, but it's certainly not going to happen quickly for us. So yeah, go with what your behaviors say you enjoy, and don't apologize for it.
And I actually find that I kind of enjoy talking about ham radio and showing off ham radio more than spending hours on the radio. Just doing something that will make a good project of showing something off and inspiring people.
And you guys do inspire people. Again, I know we're at the top of the hour, but if I have a chance, to tell my story, the YouTube community, it has been a huge part of my story in terms of getting interested in ham radio, sustaining it, finding inspiration. I so enjoy people who show their struggle. For a long time, I was around hams who had been hams for a long time, and they knew what they were doing. And, when it's like you watch someone who plays the guitar really well, it looks so easy. You're like, how hard can it be? And you pick up a guitar and it's incredibly hard, and so they just make it look like it's so easy. And then you sit down to do it and you're like, wow, this feels really hard. So I enjoy the people that show the struggle. I enjoy the videos because you can play them over and over and over again. Again, just cognitive science, to hear the word propagation once or twice and try to remember what it means, it takes a lot more exposure than that. So, so kudos to you guys, because there's a lot of education that happens in the midst of these really nice conversations.
Yeah, and thank you very much for those kind of words, Marion. And I think it is important as a YouTuber to show the failure and show that not everything is easy.
Yeah, that's right. I think I learned that the longer I do videos, you should not polish them to the last degree and only show and make it look easy, right? You have to you have to see the wire break, something goes up in smoke, something doesn't work, an activation fails. That can also happen because everybody's just a person, right? And things happen, right?
And I know we're actually past the hour, but I just want to exemplify, because when I started doing POTA, I've been watching a lot of the YouTubers like Mike K8MRD doing his POTA videos and getting those pileups and no pauses between any calls. It was only after I started doing POTA videos, I figured out that that's actually the power of video editing as much as getting pileups. So yeah, we're past the hour mark. We need to get you on again, as we say to most of our guests, Marion, because
maybe one final question before we all part for the day. At which point during your ham career have you discovered our YouTube channel, Marion? Was that at the beginning or somewhere in the middle, after 6 months, or just I'm just curious.
It was very early on in my ham radio career. I started learning CW, long story there, and said, what am I going to do with it? And Stan said, well, there's all these ham radio YouTubes about CW, and I enjoyed those. And he said, well, the people on these panels, Kyle, AA0Z, had a new CW Operators Roundtable series. And he said, some of those people have their own things, and then it's like this world of things opened up. And so, yeah, that's what I mean. The ham radio YouTube community was key in terms of me getting interested, getting inspired, seeing people who were, beginners like me. And so it was early on. And I'm a big fan. I don't always make it live, but we almost always catch them. That's what we do at night. We watch ham radio YouTubes most of the time. It's interesting being a ham radio married couple. There's a lot of. It's mostly good. Stan will tell you that at least once a day I say I want more antennas. There's a
lot of OMs dream of that comment.
But it's inspiring. I always we got a ham radio couple in our club as well, and they always say that the cost of the radios, it's only half the cost for them. At least he says that. I'm not sure if she agrees, but
yeah.
But I mean, I couldn't, for the best of me, get any other of my family members interested in radio.
It took me, I tried and tried. I got my license actually back in 1992, only to impress my husband, who was my boyfriend then. We've been married over 30 years now. But I really didn't care about it. I got what I wanted out of it. So, I'm like, I don't care. And it wasn't, it was a whole lot of years there where I didn't find it interesting. But using CW to exercise my brain, which I won't go down, but I could, that got me into the YouTubes. That really got me asking questions, and my local club is really good. But yeah, so Stan has been really patient in teaching me a lot as we watch YouTubes. When you guys had the tools last week, I was constantly stopping, like, do we have this? Do we have this? Do we need this?
Oh dear.
What does this one do? Well, what does this one do? Well, why don't
That
we have
sounds expensive.
Well, if you think our show is expensive, you should check out the Ham Radio Workbench.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Stan
That's
mentions
where
it once in a while.
it starts getting expensive. I guess.
Say thank you very much for your answer. That was fun.
Absolutely. And we need to get you back at some point, Marion, because this was an hour that flew past way too fast. Hope you all enjoyed this show. I'm not really sure what we're doing next week. Have you heard from mystery guest yet, Bob?
No, I haven't, and that's all on me. So I'll maybe you can remind me to prod him tomorrow, and I'll do that, and or we can gamble on my brain remembering all by itself.
I'll try to remind you if someone reminds me to remind you. We'll make that happen.
Yeah, that's probably best. No, I agree. You have to come back at some later point, Marianne. It's been really fun in this hour. It's Morten said it just flew by. So yeah, it happens with us. Yeah, time flies. So please come back another time.
Yeah. I will. I've been watching some of the comments, and folks, like, girl took advantage of boy and got licensed. One of our early dates, he took me to the Dayton Hamvention back when it was in the Dayton Arena, and I didn't really have much respect for it. And at the end of it, they had all these prizes, and they were raffling off these things, and they called off my ticket. And there's, several hundred, like big stands and stuff. And they called my number, so I go running down, and I get my prize, and it had an expensive tag on it. And so I knew it was something special, and I just glanced at what it said, and I went running back up in the stands, and I'm yelling at Stan, I want a transducer. I want a transducer. And he just wants to crawl into the bench. And I had no idea, it was an Icon handheld transceiver. But yeah, so he married me anyway. So Chris, I don't know, you can say I took advantage of him, but he knew what he was getting, and we married anyway.
And ladies and gentlemen, it took us over an hour this show to get a bad word in.
It was not me this time. That's good.
No, it was not you this time.
This guy's
But I haven't seen your F-bomb last week. Tobias hasn't really hurt our ad revenue, so I think we're good. And our ad revenue is exactly 0, so that's good. Anyhow, I think it's time to say 7-3. See you guys next week, and you're always welcome back, Marion.
Thank you. I'll be back.
73, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks. Have a good week. Bye.
Bye.